I'm going to read the passage from tadpole to frog again, and being that you should always read each passage twice, the first time you listen and read to a passage is to get familiar with it. The second time is when you are doing your think alouds and applying your strategy. So let's start with paragraph 1. Do you like to jump? How far can you jump? That's the author making connections with you regarding the topic of frogs. When most people think of frogs, they think of jumping. Frog legs are designed to help them swim when they are in water and jump when they are on land. I'm going to underline that sentence because that is telling me the purpose of a frog's legs. Frog legs help them move from place to place and to escape possible danger. I'm going to underline that sentence as well because that tells me the purpose of why frogs have legs. However, frogs are not born jumping around. In fact, frogs are not born with legs at all. I'm going to underline that fact. Frogs are not born with legs. Frogs must go through many different stages in their life before they can jump on land. So frogs go through many different stages in their lives. Paragraph 2. Each frog starts out as a tiny black spot in a little egg. So I'm going to underline tiny black spot. The tiny frog is called a spawn. I'm going to underline spawn. That's my unknown word. Frogs lay a lot of eggs. A frog can lay up to 4,000 eggs. I'm going to underline that sentence because if they ask me later how many frog eggs can a frog lay, I know the answer right there. The eggs stick together and have a jelly-like gel around them. I'll underline jelly-like gel. This helps protect the eggs. I'll underline that. That can also be a cause and effect. Because frogs have a jelly-like gel around them, as an effect, it protects the eggs. However, there are a lot of things that can happen to tiny little frog eggs. Eggs can be eaten, broken, or washed away. I'm going to underline that. Only about half of the eggs will hatch. Sometimes the mother will stay with the eggs to take care of them. Sometimes the mother may leave and not come back to the eggs. So if asked about the mother, I know that sometimes the mother stays with the egg and sometimes the mother may leave and not come back. A baby frog stays in the egg for 6 to 21 days before it comes out. I'm going to underline that. Paragraph 3. When the baby frogs leave their eggs, they are called tadpoles. I'm going to underline tadpoles and I'm going to underline the definition. When baby frogs leave their eggs. The tadpoles are a green or brown color. I'll underline that. Just an extra little detail. This helps them hide in their algae. I'm going to underline algae. It's an unknown word. However, if you notice this asterisk, it is the author's way of telling you that if you look down to the bottom of the page, here is the asterisk, here is the word and the definition, algae, organisms that grow in water. Sometimes instead of an asterisk, you might see a little number. Either way, it's called a footnote. If you look at the foot, which is the bottom of the paper, it reveals the definition. Many fish will eat tadpoles that do not hide. Tadpoles live in water and have gills like a fish. Those are two characteristics of a tadpole, so I'm going to underline that. In the beginning, tadpoles are not very strong. They hook to algae and float, so I'm going to underline that. The tadpoles will start swimming around more and more and eating the algae after about a week. I'll just underline after about a week. The tadpoles will stay together and swim. Paragraph 4. After the baby frog has been a tadpole for about a month, I'm going to underline about a month, it starts to change again. The tadpole grows skin over its gills. I'll underline that because they might ask you, how does the tadpole change? I'm also going to underline the fact that it starts growing lungs, so it'll be able to breathe on its own and on land. And then the little tadpole starts to grow back legs. I'm going to underline grow back legs. As it grows more, the tadpole eats bugs and some plants. It's always important to know what an animal eats and what type of animals hunt after them. The tadpole is stronger and does not hide as much. That's a cause and effect. Because the tadpole is stronger, as a result, it does not need to hide as much. Paragraph 5. When it is 6 to 9 weeks old, the little tadpole grows front legs. Its lungs begin working. That means it can breathe all on its own. The tadpole's mouth gets bigger and looks more like a frog. So I'll underline that the mouth gets bigger because you're underlining all the supportive details that support the main idea that a tadpole to a frog goes through changes. Many people call this little frog a froglet. Unlike a frog, the froglet still has its tail, and by the time it is 12 weeks old, you always want to underline numbers, 12 weeks old, the little froglet will have a tiny tail and will begin living on land. So if it asks you when frogs start living on land, you will say about 12 weeks old. Paragraph 6. The frog will stay and live near the water. It will go back to cool down and swim. Then one day, female frogs will go into the water and lay eggs of their own. Little tadpoles will come out of the egg and the whole cycle begins again. So how does the cycle begin again? Because the female adult frogs will go in the water and lay eggs of their own. Frogs are one of the only many animals that begin their lives in the water with gills and then grow lungs to live on land. So I'm going to underline that. They begin life living in the water with gills to breathe, and they end their life living on land with lungs to help them breathe. They go through many different stages to get from a tiny spot in a jelly egg to a big hopping frog.